Okay, so first and foremost, on February 26th, 2024, Amazon is going to be removing the option for you to download your Kindle books, your Kindle ebooks via the USB option to your computer in order to back them up or sideload them onto another device. For me, this doesn't really do a lot. I don't use my Kindle as a main library. I know that some people do. I do not. So, being a millennial, born in 1991, I have been, I suppose, raised in the digital age, right? So I remember when we still had dial-up, and you couldn't use the phone if someone else was using the internet. We had a house phone for years. We had cable boxes. I remember when TiVo came out, and I remember when things really started to switch from being things that you buy physically and you have a hard copy of, like DVDs and CDs, to a digital age where you are purchasing subscription-based music, shows, games, books, etc. And this is what I'm going to say. For years, I have said that if you ever want to truly own something, you will have to physically purchase that thing. Whether that's a book, a game, a movie, a season of your favorite TV show. You will have to physically purchase it so that no one has access to that thing in order to alter or change it. Or, in this case, completely delete it from their platform. I know a lot of people that rely on digital media as a whole for everything, for games, for books, for TV shows, for movies, and for music. And while I too use these platforms, I use Kindle, I use Kindle Unlimited, I use Apple TV, I use Switch online and have bought digital copies of Switch games. I use things like Apple Arcade and Apple Music and Spotify. I think that it's also very important to understand that we don't own that media, no matter how much or how little we pay for it. So when you buy a subscription to Netflix, you don't own the shows that are on Netflix. If your subscription lapses, you lose access to that media. If I purchase a movie, like, I'm trying to think of a movie that we own, The Les Miserables 30th anniversary sing-along play thing that I ordered years ago, I own that on Apple Music or Apple TV. But technically, if Apple TV decided to get rid of that tomorrow, I would lose all access to it. That's the way that digital rights work. You don't truly own something that you bought digitally. You are just purchasing a license until that platform or that company decides that they are no longer going to have it or provide it for you. In 2009, Amazon lost their license and their copyright to have the book 1984 and also the book Animal Farm on their platform. So everyone that had ever purchased that book digitally lost their access to it. So this is what I'm going to tell you. While I know that it is a privilege and not everyone can purchase things physically, support your local libraries, purchase these books physically, or find other platforms where you can buy your ebooks, preferably without DRM, which is digital rights management, attached to it, which all Amazon Kindle books have DRM attached to them. You have to strip the DRM in order to move them anyway once you download them to your computer. I believe Tor.com is a place where you can purchase fantasy ebooks without DRM, like they don't have a DRM, which means that you can put them on any device. You could put them on you could send them to your Kindle, you could put them on a Kobo, you could put them on a Nook. But we have to remember that while, yes, we are tiptoeing through the tulips into this age of not actually owning the things that we buy, we still have the option to purchase these things physically if they are truly things that we want to keep on our shelves. Like I said, I do not utilize my Kindle as my main library. I love my Kindle. I will always use my Kindle. I will purchase new Kindles when ones break, okay? But this device will never be where the majority of my books sit. My favorite books are on a shelf that I can actually see right in front of me. It's right behind the camera. And some of those books that I have on that shelf are books that I've actually never read. They're just books that I thought looked cool, so I picked them up. But a lot of the books that I currently own on my shelf that have been read are books that were my favorite books. They are books that I don't want to get rid of, that I want to have on my shelf for years to come. So they were purchased physically for that very reason. I remember there being discourse around similar to this around digital games a few years ago, maybe 10 years ago. Because things like Steam allow you to purchase their games, and they try to find ways that you truly own those games. But if I purchase a digital copy of a game on my Switch, and then Nintendo decides to get rid of that game, if I don't own the cartridge for that game physically, then I have just lost the game that I purchased. That's just the way that digital rights work. And while yes, most companies don't put it in plain writing, I feel that as a people, as a society, we should be doing our own independent research on these things and not just blindly going in assuming that we own things that we purchase digitally, because that's not how it works. If you purchase something digitally off of Etsy, like I do quite regularly because I purchase digital planner materials, if this shop decides to get rid of that thing and I don't have it backed up and downloaded, I won't be able to go back into Etsy and download it, because really what I've purchased is a license. I haven't purchased a right to use that thing however I want, like you would if you purchase something physically. So, reasons why I will not be switching from Amazon. First of all, it's comfortable for me. I have contemplated trying out a Kobo Libra color simply because I like the option to annotate on, like straight on the page of a book. But I don't purchase enough ebooks outright for it to really make a lot of sense to switch to a different ecosystem. When I do purchase books, I purchase them through like Amazon's daily Kindle deals. I check daily Kindle deals quite often because they will range in price from free to usually about $5.99. Most Kindle deals are not going to be more than $5.99. I've purchased many books this way that I already own physically. When the Moon Hatched is one that I can think of off the top of my head. It cost me, I bought it on Kindle for $1.99 during a Kindle deal, but I also owned the physical copy of that book. So for me, ultimately, my library will eventually only consist of books that I've truly enjoyed and want on my shelf, and that will be my main library. If you are a person who prefers a physical book, or maybe you use a Kindle simply for the convenience of having thousands of books at your fingertips, this is what I'm going to tell you to do. Continue to purchase the books that you love physically. And then maybe just use your Kindle for things like ARCs or ebook ARC copies, or library access if you live in the United States and are able to send Libby books straight to your Kindle. Obviously, that's not going to work for you if you're outside of the United States. You would have to use Kobo. Or just only use your Kindle for things like Kindle Unlimited. Which is reason number 2 why I will not be jumping ship from Amazon anytime soon. Kindle Unlimited is a truly amazing platform. Not amazing. I'm not going to say that. It is a truly convenient platform for indie authors specifically and self-pubbed authors specifically to be able to get their books out onto a platform and easily have it accessed by thousands of people. I'm not going to say that it's convenient I'm not going to say that it's an amazing platform. which is why I redacted that part when I first said it, because I have seen the discourse from authors around how clunky the platform is, how not convenient it always is to try to put your books on it. But it does make it so that people can pay one subscription fee and access it. Now, I pay for Kindle Unlimited by the year. That locks me into one specific price point. So if it flexes from month to month, which we've been seeing it do, where it'll be, right now I believe it's like $11.99. At one point it was like $8, and then it like flexed after like a year. If I pay for it at the beginning of the year for, say, we'll say I think I pay $150 a year for the platform, then it might increase the next year, but it won't increase for me at all in that calendar year. I personally really do utilize my Kindle Unlimited because I have so many books on my shelves that are available also through Kindle Unlimited, and I just like the convenience of reading on an e-reader. I've looked at some other platforms like Kobo, which has their like Kobo Plus catalog, where it's one price to, it's a cheaper price to only access audiobooks, a cheaper price to only access ebooks, and then you can pay, I think, a slightly increased price to access both audio and ebooks at the same time. In my opinion, because of the way that Amazon locks their authors in, Kobo doesn't have as much of a catalog when it comes to their Kobo Plus. So I will not be punishing authors that I love to read from by jumping ship from Amazon. I'm just not going to do that. I understand if people want to do that and jump ship, but really, this policy change or this thing where they're making it so you can't download your ebooks doesn't really change anything. It only really changes the fact that, and it doesn't even really change this, it really only changes the fact that you won't be able to download your books after February 26, 2024 and move them to another platform. But it doesn't change the fact that Amazon has always been able to remove any of your digital media that they've wanted to, if they say lose the rights to it or just decide that they no longer want it on their platform. It doesn't change the fact that they can go in and alter or completely delete ebooks that you've purchased just on a whim. So is this the conclusion for me at this point? Is no, I didn't really freak out about the fact that Amazon was doing this. Not because I don't care, but because for me, it doesn't really matter. If I truly want to own something, then I will purchase it physically. Or if I just want to be able to read something that is completely unaltered, I will go to my public library and I will borrow the book from there. But I think that while we are mad dashing to download all of our books, which I will not be doing, I did download a few. Some of them I had already had backed up, and some of them I just decided, you know what, I've had them for long enough. I'll just go ahead and back them up now. I'm not probably going to put them on any other platform, but I also wanted to see how convenient or how easy it was to be able to do it if I needed to put them on a different device. And because I have gotten a plethora of DMs on Instagram and messages on Discord asking me to talk about this, so hopefully this is succinct and makes sense, but also to be asked if I know how to strip the DRM so that you can move it to another platform, and I didn't know how to do that because I, until about 3 days ago, had never backed up an ebook in all my life. I just never saw a point in that. I personally am not making a mad dash, but if you are, I'm going to ask you to think about why. Is it because you don't have anywhere to conveniently store the physical copies of your favorite books? Or is it because even though technically we don't own the digital rights to digital media, we feel entitled to own the rights to digital media? Even though for all digital media, even if you really have to read the fine print. It's always there that you don't actually own it. You are just purchasing the rights to a license. Like I said, for me, I will just continue to purchase the books that I love the most, that I want to make sure that they are not altered, because we are unfortunately living in a dystopian era where the government and people and companies that support our current government climate will remove things and will alter things because it makes them uncomfortable, or because they don't want to deal with it, because it has LGBTQ themes, or talks too much about race, or could somehow corrupt us because it makes us think. So while yes, there is a deeper conversation here that I'm not going to go into because I don't really speak politics on my channel, about fascism, dystopian eras, and the way that the government and the 1% of the population is trying to control what we read, I'm going to say this. Continue to support your local libraries. Continue to buy your favorite books, and the most controversial ones at that, through physical means, and keep them on your shelf. Continue to read things like The Handmaid's Tale, 1984, Animal Farm, The Hunger Games. Just continue to read and to learn, because ultimately that is a form of rebellion. As long as you're reading, we are protesting, we are rebelling, and reading is always and always has been political. But also keep in mind that we don't own the rights to digital media. So, while Amazon may be making it so that you can't move your books around, they really aren't changing very much of their policy. We've never actually owned the books that the ebooks that we purchase from Amazon anyway. Which is why I am choosing not to jump ship from Amazon. I will still use my Kindle. I will still be your resident Kindle bestie who talks all things Kindle specs. I will be purchasing a new Kindle next week, and I will still choose to use this version of e-reader out of convenience, but also because I've just invested enough of my life at this point into, closer to 20 years now than 10, into this platform. It doesn't make a lot of sense for me to jump ship. But I will also continue to do book hauls and show you books that I'm buying that are banned books, that are my favorite books. And ultimately that will be what my library, my main physical library, will be made up of. So, hopefully this video made sense. Hopefully, if you wanted to back up your books by February 26, 2024, you got that done. If you wanted to leave and go to Kobo instead of, or wherever, instead of staying with Amazon, you did that as well. If that's what gives you peace of mind, I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just explaining why I'm not doing it. Because a lot of people have asked me, oh, well, now with the new policy, are you going to switch from Amazon or from Kindle? No. And also, don't shame people that are choosing to stay with Kindle or are choosing to still order from Amazon out of convenience because of things like living in rural areas like I do, where ordering from Amazon is one of really our only options depending on what we're trying to buy. But I will say this also. I order whatever I can from small businesses. I do not order physical books off of Amazon. I stopped doing that about a year ago, actually. I will say that the last book I know that came from Amazon was Hooked, and that is, which was the collector's edition, and that is because at that time I did not have the money in my bank account to order it from Barnes & Noble. Barnes & Noble is where I tell people to order their books from, unless you can just go to a physical store somewhere and buy them, or your local indie will order it for you. And the reason I say Barnes & Noble is because, first of all, you are less likely to get a damaged book from Barnes & Noble, in my experience, but also Barnes & Noble is a brick and mortar store. Please support actual bookstores as opposed to Amazon, which, yes, started as a bookstore platform, but has obviously since evolved into basically just a big convenience chain of you can buy anything you want here. Most of the time I will pre-order my books off of Barnes & Noble. But Barnes & Noble is not like Amazon. Amazon will wait to take the money out of your account until the book is shipped. So you can pre-order books and then they'll just take the money once it's shipped. Barnes & Noble puts a hold on your card when you pre-order a book. I have been doing all of my pre-orders this year through Barnes & Noble. I have not been doing them through Amazon. I actually canceled all of my pre-orders through Amazon and went to Barnes & Noble instead. So find other places to pre-order your books other than Amazon if you're not wanting to support them as far as book goes. Like I said, I haven't bought a book from them in quite some time because every time I buy books from Amazon, they come to me damaged. Or almost every time they come to me damaged. And it's not worth it to me to continue to have to send them back for them to then send me another damaged book until I finally get one that's not damaged. But there are other ways that you can not support Amazon, or you can find other places to buy things. I will be making some videos here in the future on where I get things like accessories for my Kindle and other things that I buy from small business. I actually do buy quite a bit of things from small business when I can, as far as Kindle accessories, book accessories, book sleeves, my water bottles, things like that. There are a lot of places that you can buy things that you would usually get from Amazon that I don't order from Amazon. There's a reason that I do it that way. So if those are videos that you would like to see, let me know and I can make some like small shop hauls or whatever, or hauls of things like you could buy this from Amazon, but here's where I bought mine, those kind of videos. But I wanted to come and give my discourse on this since I've been asked about it. I will still be using a Kindle. It's just what I feel like I'm going to do. That's okay if you don't agree with me on doing that and you've chosen to go to a different platform or a different kind of e-reader. There are a lot of e-readers out there. I just personally think that Amazon has really done the thing they need to do with the Kindle, and I think that the Kindle, in my experience, I've also used a Nook before and it wasn't great. The battery life was not great. I own one that is pink. I never did a review on it because I was going to do like a compare contrast thing with Kindle and see if I was going to switch, and I had it for like 2 weeks and I was like, I'm not going to switch. So it just wasn't worth, I don't like doing negative reviews on my channel, so it wasn't worth me making a review video on. That's just where I'm at. But it doesn't, for me as a consumer, it doesn't really change the way that my Kindle will be utilized or what I will and will not purchase as far as Kindle ebooks. So hopefully this made sense. If not, then you just got a 30-minute video of me rambling my thoughts. Let me know your thoughts down below, and I will see y'all in the next one. Bye.